Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Wednesday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. I am your host, Chat Daddy. Glad to be here with you guys on it's almost like a fall-like Wednesday evening. Believe it or not, we're yet still in summer season, but here in Chicago, we're having unseasonably cool weather. It's a perfect evening for a warm cup of whatever you drink. Sit back, relax. I have another great show planned for your viewing and listening pleasure this evening. Last week and the week before on social media, there were two stories that were trending and everyone was talking about the two stories. One of the stories was about was famed TV pastor John Gray. He had an on-television show that has since been canceled before this latest scandal, but he has now been caught up in an affair. And so tonight we're going to talk about, do you forgive people of the cloth once they've made that transgression of sin? And we'll talk about, how do you share it? Who do you talk to about it? What should congregants do? It should be a really interesting conversation. And then also R&B singer and TV star Marcus Houston. You guys remember him from Sister to Sister. He married his 19-year-old girlfriend last weekend it was. And so he is 39 years old. And so tonight we'll talk about the May-December relationship. And that's a really long May-December relationship, but it should be a really interesting conversation. And men that will be joining me for this conversation are all fathers of daughters. So we'll see how that goes. Okay. Well, back in the guest co-host seat tonight is our good friend, actor, director, a bishop, a spiritual leader, all around great guy, Bishop Damone Seraphin. He's back tonight. If we're going to talk about anything that has to do with church books and the links, he wants to get in on the conversation. And I think he's a good person to be a part of this wonderful group of people I've assembled this evening. Welcome back to the show, Bishop Damone Seraphin. Hey, Bishop, how are you?
Hey, Art, how are you?
Hey. Good. You got a million things going on tonight. I know you're up for an award tonight.
I do.
And you co-hosted this show. Tell everybody what you're up to, Bishop.
Yeah, I'm in rehearsals for a show in New Hampshire, directing a show tonight. I'm a nominee for the Helen Hayes Award, which is the Tony of DC, and I'm here with. So excited. So if you see my face looking to the left, or you're right, it's only because I'm jumping on screen if I won or checking that I'm okay and not missing the announcement of my category.
That's all right. We got you. We just hope your Wi-Fi does not go out. We're glad to have you back with us this evening, and I'm excited about the conversation we're going to have later on this evening. So I'm going to start off with the latest COVID information, then I'll pop back to you and just myself back in this terrain. All right, I'll give you a second. Okay, so today's latest COVID-19 update numbers. Illinois health officials announced 1,337 new known cases of COVID-19 with an additional 30 fatalities. This brings the total number of infections in the state of Illinois to 253,690 cases. The statewide death total is now 8,214 since the start of the pandemic. We want to remind everybody the importance of wearing your mask. Always make sure you wear your mask when you leave out, when you're in public, whatever the case may be. Always sanitize. Soap and water is best. If you don't have soap and water, hand sanitizer will work. Social distance. What do we say on this show? If you're not feeling well, keep your ass in the house. Okay. All right, so let's go back to Bishop and talk about some of these hot topics. Bishop, are you there? Hello?
I'm here. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
I can, but we hear her more than we can hear you.
Oh, well, that's not great. Let me turn her down.
Right. We hear more of that conversation than we do you. Perfect. So how's the COVID situation going on there in New York?
It's good. I'm in New Hampshire, so the cases are numbering at 9.
In New Hampshire?
So in New Hampshire, yeah. So, but just in Maine, just hold on one second. Yeah, oh, I thought they called my name. You guys, this is so exciting. I'm like getting an award maybe and like online with you all, so I'm really excited.
Oh,
Um,
that's funny. So you hold. So hello.
yeah,
Let me. All right. So let's continue on. So there's a new versus battle that will be coming up real soon. This new versus battle is between Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight. This is really a highly anticipated battle. As you guys all know, the last battle was between Monica and Brandy. And you know what? I can't really say if there was a winner or a loser in that. Both Monica and Brandy had music that I enjoyed at a certain period of time. I feel as if both of them's musical skills are quite different, to say the least. And so I'm looking forward to this battle between Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight. I'm not sure who I actually think would be the winner. I was hoping to talk to Bishop about it, but he seems like he got something else going on. Hold on, is he ready? Let me go back and see. Hey, bro, any update? Hello?
hey, so good.
Hello?
Yep, can you hear
You
me?
breaking up. We barely can. Yeah, we can barely hear you. Can you
Oh,
hear
I
me?
don't know what yeah, I think sometimes here in New Hampshire.
Huh? Hello? Okay. Let's move on with the show. All right, here we go. So that'll take place this coming Sunday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. It'll be broadcast live from Philly. Y'all get a good soul food meal together. Sit back, relax, get you a cocktail. We all know Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight. I mean, it's just hard to tell because when Patti puts one of her tunes on, it takes you to a whole different dimension. When Gladys Knight is singing about something, it takes you to a whole different level. So I don't know. It should be a good versus. I will see how it all works. Yes, sir. You back? Hello.
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Hello. We can much
Can
better
you
now.
hear
See,
me?
we were talking about the battle. We can hear
Hi.
you. Hi, can you hear us?
Yay.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, so we were talking about the battle between Patti LaBelle and Gladys Knight this coming Sunday evening. What are your thoughts on that?
Woo-hoo! Fire. It's gonna be fire. I'm so excited about that battle.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
So,
even know.
which
Like Gladys Knight and Patti LaBelle, it's like I don't even know how you're gonna do it.
okay, all right. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I'm so stoked. They're both my favorites, so I don't even know. I don't even know how to do it. It's gonna be a
Okay.
good night.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to continue on to the next topic this evening. Today, Los Angeles announced that they will be canceling all Halloween celebration type events, trick or treating, any parades, bonfire type of situations, anything that people would do to congregate to celebrate Halloween. And so LA has been the first to take this step. Our mayor today said that she did not see Halloween being canceled as of now, and that maybe people can find other creative ways to celebrate Halloween. I personally think it's going to end up being a national thing because we just don't want to put children at risk. We're still in the midst of a pandemic, and it is a holiday that children and adults love to celebrate. What do you think about that?
I absolutely think they should cancel it. Absolutely, hands down. I think it is too dangerous. We are learning that this infection, this virus is alive and well and in its second phase, and we would do wise to protect and cover our children in the midst of this dual pandemic. I'm all with that with the mayor in LA who is like it's over, and I think it should be.
Really? So, because every retail store you go into now, they have tons of the Halloween candy. They have all the decorations out. Where I live, I've not had trick or treaters in years, and I'm talking about probably my last two residencies. But I don't know if trick Halloween and trick or treating is a dying fad, and now this pandemic is really going to put a nail in the coffin, or do you think parents will have smaller gatherings to try to have a
I
celebration for children?
I think parents would do wise not to celebrate with your family, stay indoors. But I think going door to door, collecting from other people that we're not sure what their status is, I just don't find that to be responsible. Mine will be at home. Mine
Mm-hmm.
will be at home.
Mm-hmm. And just have a celebration at home.
And we'll listen, we'll celebrate Jesus at the house.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're exactly 55 days away from election 2020. I want to remind everybody the importance of voting. Make your voice be heard. Request whatever it is that you need to do to vote, whether it's a mail-in ballot, whether you go early vote, which is probably the best thing to do, but make sure you get out and vote. Today, President Trump acknowledged to journalist Bob Woodward that he had knowingly played down the coronavirus situation earlier in the year, even though he was aware of it and how deadly it was, and that it was vastly more serious than just a normal flu. And so this has come out today. Of course, the response from the White House has been, that's all hype to sell a book. But what do you think about that situation? And I thought he knew about it long time ago anyway.
Yeah, I think this fool knew right away. And I'm disgusted that we put politics and business. Hold on.
Hold on. I'm in the middle of a shoot.
Yeah, I think it's discussed politics and business over our over humanity.
So,
With the side myself.
wait, I didn't hear you. We couldn't hear a word you said. I couldn't hear a word you said.
I was saying I think it's completely irresponsible that our president had this information and would rather put politics and business over humanity. I'm disgusted by that, and that we know the truth as he knows it. It is really important for us to really be aware and be proactive in the way we move about. This disease is deadly, and we need to be very careful about how we move about in this space.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add to that? My biggest
I think I
concern
want
is over a hot. Oh, go ahead.
Hey, thank you all so much. Oh my God, I just jumped off of my show to accept this award. Oh my goodness. First, listen, thank you to Tom and everybody out.
Congratulations to him on winning his award. I'm trying to do a show, and I consider it an award-winning show, so he'll be back when he get back, I guess. All right, continuing on with today's news stories. My heart does go out to the 190,000 plus Americans who have lost their life to this deadly virus and have no, you know, people were not prepared. We did not know. We heard about this in other countries and that it would take a crippling effect on people. But now our current president has sat back, said it was something that would all go away when the weather got warm. If you drank Clorox bleach, whatever the case may be, this was not such a serious virus. And as we see, we still have more and more people who are being infected by the virus, more people who are testing positive. Our fatality rate, again, 30 additional fatalities here in the state of Illinois today alone in the last 24 hours is quite a bit. It is. All right. Let me check back and see if he's back yet. This is a team thing. So I'm like, you there? Hello? Hello? Okay. All right. Yeah, to help co-host. That's why he was still here. But I hate for people. You got something to do. You got something to do. Just tell me. Good Lord Almighty. All right. So now we start talking for time. I don't have any other news stories because this is a bouncing back and forth. Well, all right. So do me a favor. Despite all the glitches and problems that have happened here this evening, I apologize to you guys. I'm a little mortified about what just happened. Please go over to YouTube, subscribe, like the show on YouTube. Also go over to Facebook, like the Real Chat Daddy Show there. Take a visit to my website, therealchatdaddy.com. And I appreciate you guys' support. I promise you we have a great conversation, 2 great conversations coming up tonight that you do not want to miss. Let's see if he's here and we can congratulate him. Hey, sir, how are you? Congratulations. So what was the award you just won? Can you hear us?
Hi.
Hey.
Thank you. Best director for a play.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Debbie, you are so funny. So I was, hello? Is he there? Hey. Okay. We just gonna kind of just knock this on out. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, beautiful. I'm sorry, you guys. As I'll continue on, I'll handle that situation. Rude is, yeah. Okay, we'll bring our other guests on in just a little bit. So I'm out of things to talk about. That was a part of Hot Topic Gossip this evening. What's going to happen with these restaurants? Debbie, which restaurants are you talking about? I should have had you come on, Debbie. The number of restaurants that are closing and going out of business. Yes, it is predicted that the city of Chicago and the state of Illinois is due to lose 5,000 restaurants due to this pandemic. A lot of your fine restaurants now, when you're calling to make reservations, they're kind of even telling you to review the menu. You may even want to pre-order the menu because a lot of these high-end places, for them to have cases and cases of lobster tails, crab legs, things like that, and they're not able to serve this to anybody. And keep in mind, here in Chicago and a lot of places, dining, in a dining room is not the place. You have to do it outside. The weather is changing considerably. Like this week here in Chicago, you would definitely have a blanket or jacket if you were out dining some place. They would even have to have heat lamps. So it makes for a really precocious situation for the restaurateurs, and just trying to make it do what it needs to do. It's a really awkward situation, to say the least. So we do wish these restaurateurs very well. Debbie, you are so funny. Debbie Green wants to know, how am I doing? I'm actually doing well, you guys. I appreciate you guys so much. This has been a time to pivot, reflect, go through and do a lot of different things I have never had the chance to do, and it's actually been exciting to say the least. I've been enjoying doing this show every night for you guys. This has been just a pleasure. Some of the best guests and people ever. I hope to get even greater guests to come and do exactly what we do here every night, is have healthy dialogue that is very impactful for people. With September being Blood Cancer Awareness Month, I've been super busy helping a couple of organizations to get the word out about blood cancer. And you guys all know I'm a fellow, 2019 fellow and ambassador for ADA 25. We're in our recruitment process right now, looking for people who want to improve as leaders in their particular fields, as identifying with their disabilities as they continue to prove themselves and move forward as positive leaders. So that's an undertaking that's really great. And then, as you guys all know, I'm helping the Illinois Medical District House, Guest House over on Polk Street, IMD Guest House, as they call it. It sounds so swank. They're going to actually have a wonderful fundraiser October 8th. It's virtual. You guys can actually join for free. It's easy and simple. I'll put up the website here so you guys can know all about it. It's livegivesmart.com. And it's free for you to sign up to come to the virtual cocktail party. But if your heart feels so benevolent you are able to donate and give money to IMD House because they provide free lodging for people who are critically ill that may not even get to the hospital for all their treatments and appointments. People from all over the world stay there. And it's really a great place of refuge for people in their times of need. Okay, so if you guys want to do that, I'm more than happy to do that. Don't forget that their website is imdguesthouse.org, and you go right there and handle the situation with them. You can. All right, let's bring this gentleman back in again. Are you there? You there? You there? Hello. Okay. All right. He's stuck on something else. All right. Well, in just a little bit, I'm going to welcome our other guests tonight. I see them all in line, in place. You know, when this is a live show, you got to go with the flow, you guys. That's what I have to learn to do tonight. And so we are all assembled here tonight to talk about two great conversations that I think need to be had, and a lot of people with great opinions on them. So I'm going to bring these people in just a little bit. What else do we need to talk about? Halloween has been canceled. I gave you guys the latest COVID-19 update numbers. I don't know. Let's go ahead and start these people and bring them in. Mercury will be in retrograde in Scorpio around the time of the election. Well, then that would be good to know because I am a Scorpio, and this is just, I don't know. This is a lot. All right. I think the Mercury is in something right now, but everybody acting so weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. All right. Well, I do want to get this other segment started since all of my guests are here. They look great. I'm excited to welcome each and every one of them. So about a week and a half ago, we heard the story of famed TV reality star and pastor. As you guys all know, he had a connection to Joel Osteen in Lakewood. He ended up getting his own TV show, The Book of John Gray. This was where we followed his ministry, he and his wife's lifestyle. And so Pastor John Gray was very big on preaching abstinence. Matter of fact, from what I heard, his wife was his first. Now that's what I'm hearing. Well, ever since he done got with the wife, he has gotten a taste of the wanting to get around and get him some more bug. And so not once, but twice, and this is alleged because I don't want no lawsuit, that this man, has done the doggone thing. He has actually did what they would say a mental cheating on his wife. And so tonight I have a group of people here tonight that we're going to talk about this. When you are a person of the law and clergy, and temptation is out there. I'm not going to deny it. I cannot dispute it. I know some of the best people ever, and I done seen them with the draws down too. So I mean, it happens. You're human. So tonight, to help me talk about this situation is Miss Carla Stillwell. Hey, darling.
Hey, Suge.
How are you, baby? You look fabulous.
Lord, I'm just here with my coffee because I have to be awake for this segment. I have to be ready. Yes.
I want you to be ready. Good job. I love you. I can't wait. We have another young lady who I enjoy reading her opinions on social media and her thoughts about a lot of different things. Welcome to the show, Miss Kim Coleman. Hello, darling.
How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm a Chicago native, but I'm coming to you from Oklahoma.
Where the winds go
really?
on the plains.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Oklahoma. I love it. How's everything in Oklahoma right now? What's the latest with the COVID situation in Oklahoma?
The COVID is really running steady right now. It was going higher. We were locked down like everyone else. But so far, it's running steady. This, just to let you know, I live in the reddest state in here in America. Barack Obama did not win one district in 2008 or 2016. And today I walked in my Biden-Harris shirt and didn't care and got some stares, but I don't care.
Oh my God. So are there any other Biden-Harris supporters there? Is it other people? Is it and when you said a red estate, are you even talking about people that look like us?
No, what I mean is it's the reddest state in America. It is the
Right.
only state where Barack Obama did not win one district in either election.
So, but are there quite a few Black Republicans there,
There
or
are Black Republicans, but
wow,
kind of changing a little bit. You do know that Tulsa was the place where Black Wall
yes,
Street was.
yes,
And so that's where that is. I live in Oklahoma City. And so it is changing. I really think this election is going to be a bit different than the last two major
okay.
ones.
Okay, well, Kim, I'm so glad to have you here with us this evening. This next gentleman, I'm excited to hear what he has to say. He's a book author. I also consider him a pseudo relationship expert. He gives very great advice, and he does have a lot of lively opinions about different things. Welcome, Mr. Chuck Smoot. How are you, sir?
How are you, my friend? How's everything?
Good. How are you?
I'm fair to middling, as the folks down south used to say.
I know, that's my favorite saying though. Fair to middling. I've been trying to figure out what is the middling though. You know what I'm saying? Like what is that?
That's something my father used to always say, and I had no idea what it meant, but I just picked it up from him. So that's good enough for me. That's the Southern folks saying.
Amen. All right. I think Bishop is back. Is he back? Is he back with us, or did he leave? Okay, maybe he'll pop back in. All right. So the hot topic on the table. Bishop, are you there? Did we get him back? Okay, I don't know. We won't worry about it. The are you there? Well, I'm trying to. Hey, are you there? Hello? Okay.
Oh Lord.
Child, we're gonna leave that. We're gonna leave that where that's at. Let's just.
This technology.
That's a whole nother story. Okay, Bishop John Gray, originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, associated with Lakewood, and of course, Joel Osteen, becomes this young, dynamic pastor. Everybody's just loving him. He preaching the word. All of a sudden, he becomes this TV reality star through the OWN network with the show, The Book of John Gray. He and his wife, I'll never forget, I interviewed them when I was on radio. They came to the station, just really nice people. They preaching about love and how people can have great relationships, and just look at how beautiful their marriage is. Let's fast forward. We now have not heard about just one affair, but we've heard about two affairs. And I'm curious to know you all's thought on this whole situation with John Gray. And I don't know, Carla, something in your eyebrows just told me to start with you first. Something right. And look, and I think Kim might pick it on up from there. But Carla, what is your thoughts on Pastor John Gray and this, forgive me, but I have sinned situation?
He irritates my spirit, like deep down in my shando, it itches. So, and I don't know who irritates me more, him or Aventer. Because see, I think I'm going to start with her. I'm going to start with Aventer because, people going to try it. People going to always try it, but you let them pull it sometimes. You give them permission. Mm-hmm. So she finds the text messages, inbox, whatever, from the chick. And then it was alleged he was having this emotional affair with this woman. What was this, about 18 months ago? He didn't even let the body get cold yet before he pulled it again. But anyway, right. So this happens. And what do you do as a woman? You don't deal with your marriage. You don't deal with this. You don't deal with the situation. You stand up beside this fool. And you let him publicly humiliate you so you can keep your spot as first lady. Mm-hmm. And you shoot all the daggers you can at this woman. According to you, she's the filthiest slime, and she slid in, and you sat up there with him when he called you a coat and said you was a comfortable blanket, and you birthed him like you birthed your kids, or whatever that foolishness was. You supported that foolishness. So then you get publicly humiliated again. Now he got the side chick with videos of him telling your son telling people you don't cook him no food.
Right, right. Yes. And wait, after he done bought you $1 million car.
That's on that after he rented you $1 million car. We know he didn't purchase that. Praise the Lord. Um, Jesus did not give him money; he gave him credit. Praise him. So
Uh-huh.
that's what that was. But this, I mean, at a certain point, when are you sorry, or when are you just trying to save face?
Uh-huh.
And as a partner, I won't say as a woman, as a partner, when do you demand that you're treated better?
Right. Right.
Because the reason the door was open for him to continue to publicly humiliate and drag her is because she left the door open when she got on board for publicity, for clout, and did all this barking and hollering and screaming about the other woman. And she played this little game. It was all theater because everybody was trying to save these checks and not that marriage. That's
Mm-hmm.
what my eyebrows was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I
Okay.
stopped talking.
Okay, that's all right. All right, we're gonna bring you back. I'm gonna bring Kim in. Kim, what you think about this whole situation?
Well, first of all, I agree with everything that Carla said. My eyebrows are probably saying something, but I'm going to take another turn. First
Okay.
of all, I'm in prayer for him and his family. There are children involved here, and it is very difficult to keep children away from social media and the mean things that people are saying. What I feel is that John Gray is not living his truth, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that may be. Um,
Mm-hmm.
he's not meant to be a minister. Maybe he's
Mm-hmm.
not meant to be a pastor. Maybe he is not happy with his wife. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's time for him, in whatever capacity he feels necessary, to live his truth, whatever that truth may be. My cousin Ronald has a great saying. He says the closet is a dangerous place to live. Now, that closet is not just meant about being gay or same gender loving, but whatever closet, ever secret that you are holding. If you don't truly want to be in the ministry, then that is not something that you should be doing,
Mm-hmm.
because outlet
Mm-hmm.
for you maybe is that affair. If you are not happy with your wife, and that is not the person you feel that you're deemed to be with, then you need to find another person to be with, divorce that person, and let everybody go about their happiness. There's
Mm-hmm.
something serious, and the other thing is accountability. When that first thing happened with him, about a week or two later, he was preaching at First Baptist of Glen Arden, where the pastor John Jenkins is pastor, the largest church in Maryland. And there was this big show, and I love Bishop Jakes, with Bishop Jakes, placing his hands on him, and he got slain in the spirit. That should have not have happened. He should not have preached at that church. They should have, as we say in the church, sat him down and then have a line of accountability to him. So he
Mm-hmm.
needs accountability, pastors, and he needs to live in his own truth.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't agree with you more on that. You're absolutely right. I tell people, if nothing else, the show P Valley has taught me about how
Don't
people
start.
that's a whole nother show. We're not even gonna get into that.
And I want to be on that show.
I'm coming back
Okay,
for the P
again,
Valley show.
right. Because if nothing else, P Valley shows you how people fall, how people can quickly get caught up in what really their flesh desires and where they want to be. And a lot of these pastors, I think, are held on such high pedestals that when their flesh gets weak, it's hard for them to even navigate their way out of the situation because they know so many other people that are doing wrong. And with that being said, go ahead, Kim. Go ahead.
If I could just say this,
Yes.
If PJ Morton, if you all know, he's an R&B singer. He used to travel with Maroon 5, and his pastor is Bishop Paul Morton. And he said in an interview, he said, there was so much pressure on me to become a minister. Because I don't know if his mother is a minister as well. But of course, we all know Bishop Morton. And he said, or going to gospel music. He said, but that's not what I wanted to do. He said, so I decided to go with a rock band and go and be with Maroon 5. And then I decided to hardcore R&B music. He said, but I would not have been happy if I succumbed to what people expected me to be.
Okay. All right. That makes good sense. Carla, hold on. Chuck, I want to get your take in on this as a man and you know, how you feel about this situation.
Well, you have to take into account, you know, not only the man thing, but you know that I was involved in active ministry for a number of years, and I did pastor a church.
You know, I just didn't want to put it out there like that.
That's
you know?
okay. No, that's okay,
you know,
brother.
Sometimes I don't put people business in the streets.
And so for me, I look at it, you know, from a different point of view. And, you know, I think the sister Kim just said, you know, talking about accountability. But for me, the accountability needs the problem with him. You know, problem comes as we deify a lot of these pastors. And we do put them on pedestals, particularly ones who get a little bit of fame and ones who, you know, can preach real pretty. And, you know, I have discussions with my mother all the time about ministers who are all style and no substance. And we need to be better at distinguishing those individuals. But the problem is, what is his church doing? You know, we can talk about, and I think it's a very valid thing to talk about his relationship with his wife and all of that. But why is he still in a position of authority? Why is he still being allowed to be in a leadership position, leading people, representing the body of Christ when, you know, now, you know, none of us are perfect. You know, Lord knows we've all made our mistakes. I made my mistakes as well. But at a certain point, you know, when I was a pastor, you know, there were mistakes that I made. And I can tell you the only person who would ever call me on them was my grandmother. But my members would be like, okay, pastor, well, you know, will you just do this, that? And while I didn't do anything as egregious as what Mr. Gray did, the fact is, are his members holding him accountable? Are they demanding that he step down? Are they demanding to meet with him? And are they listening? I mean, I watched his apology video on YouTube today in preparation for this. And, you know, I was skipping around with it because it was all crap. Because he's blaming everybody and everything but himself. But until, you know, congregations, when their pastors get caught up in stuff, are not as willing to give them a pass and say, okay, pastor, well, you just made one mistake. And, you know, these same churches are people that will kick people out the minute they hear someone's gay or the minute they hear about someone having an affair, but the pastor's doing, you know. And I cannot tell you how many, well, I'm not going to go there, but I learned a lot about the pastorate while I was a pastor. Let's just put it that way. But the main problem is I see too many people making excuses for him, and they're not holding him accountable. And the last time I checked, you know, when I was called to preach and when I was involved in active ministry, is that ultimately, you know, as much as you have to do right by your congregation, you have to do right by God. And if this man is continuing all of these actions that he keeps saying is wrong, then he's not doing right by God. Then how can his members support him? So that's where I come at it from.
Okay, well, here's a situation that I find really interesting. I know of a scandal that, you know, happened just a couple of years ago, and I was not there, but somebody I know had a video, and they showed me the video where, you know, this pastor had fallen from grace. Picture was all over the internet. Everybody was talking about it. And when this pastor went to present himself back to his congregation, honey, you'd have thought Shirley Caesar had walked out there. People was cheering, clapping, praising, giving him all kind of accolades and kudos. And the person who showed me the video said, I had never seen anything like it before ever in my life, that these people act like whatever that circumstance was, and it was like people knew what that circumstance was and knew who it was, they just let it go. And I think that's, it makes me wonder about the congregants now. You know what I'm saying? Like, are you just looking at it as, all man is subject to error, or it's all good? Let me keep giving my money to somebody that is going to keep messing up.
If I keep giving my money to a flawed person, I don't have to be any better than that flawed person.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Mm-hmm.
good point.
Like that's really it. Like if people stay engaged in these situations to help excuse their own behavior. You don't have to hold yourself to a higher standard if the man that you've held to a higher standard is not living at a higher standard.
Oh, but that's
And
so sad to me. Go ahead, Chuck.
well,
But I think it goes.
and I think one thing she just said
Wait,
that
Kim,
is important.
Chuck, it will come to you. Go ahead.
One thing that Kim just said that's important is I look at, Art, you just said, those people, they cheered him and did whatever. Look at the allegory with, and sorry to get all political, but Donald Trump. The
Yes.
same thing is going on with Trump. All the
Yes.
stuff that we know of how dirty and whatever it is, and people flock to him and give him money and support him. It's the same thing in the church. And so, we have a lot of people who will ignore people's failures as long as they are, quote unquote, making them feel good. And I think that's what happens. And you see it in the church, we see it in politics. And it's the exact same thing.
Interesting. Kim, go right ahead. You wanted to add something to that.
People have a very intimate, many times, relationship with their pastor. And full disclosure, I'm a granddaughter, niece, and sister of pastors. People have very intimate relationships with their pastor. Their pastor may have given them money to keep their electricity on, or help them pay their rent, or talk to their son and gotten them out of jail, or did a funeral for a cousin who had never come into church. And so when someone says, I forgive the pastor, what they're saying is, I may have told my pastor my secret that only me and Jesus know, and they prayed over me, and they didn't judge me. And so because my pastor knows my secret, I'm not going to judge him. So we're talking, Black people have a very interesting relationship with their pastors, more so than any other culture, I believe. We really look to our pastors as really our confidants. They come to the hospital when we're sick, or supposed to. They come to our house to bless it. They, when our kids go to college, they call them, or, the really good pastors. So when you have a pastor that's really doing their job, that's really having a really good relationship with the family, and then he falls, how can I do that when that man just gave me $1,000 to keep me in my house? You follow what I'm saying?
But
Go
I
ahead,
guess
yeah.
I'm sorry, but we use these terms like falling from grace and being weak, and the flesh being weak, and I get all of that, but I think part of the problem is we don't, in the Black community, don't speak plainly about things. He's not weak in his flesh. He's chasing skirts behind his wife's back.
Right.
Like he's making a choice. You know what I'm saying? And so as a congregant, then what is my moral obligation?
Right.
when the pastor makes, when I look at it and say, this is a choice, and he keeps making the same bad choice exactly the same way.
And I think
I'm
sorry, but I think the other part that you're going to, that goes into with the congregants, is there is a culture within the clergy, among pastors, where we also don't hold each other accountable, where pastors will, and I can say I was on the receiving end of this a couple of times, where people, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, hey, this is how you get away with this, and how you get away with that. And it's, by no means is it all pastors, and by no means is it all congregants. There are some amazing and wonderful pastors out there, and some amazing and wonderful church. churches. But like with everything else, it's the squeaky wheel gets the most noise, and it's these pastors and these mentors who are bringing people up who nod, wink, wink, and give pastors the, oh, well, you can get away with this, and just as long as you're good to sister so and so because she's the big money maker in the church, and you do all this other stuff, you go to this graduation or this baptism, you can get away with it. And the fact is, if you are meant to be a pastor, if you are called to be a pastor, not every minister is called to be a pastor, but if you are fortunate enough to be called to the pastorate, that's a huge responsibility, that you are taking on the responsibility of your congregants, and you are supposed to be providing an example to them. And with this guy, John Gray, what the example he's showing is, when I get in trouble, I'm going to go on YouTube and do a 2-hour apology. And then 3 weeks later, everyone's going to forgive me. And then we'll just come back to it a year later and we'll go through the whole thing again because I'm famous and I can preach well. And until people start saying no, these types of things and these types of pastors are going to continue with it.
Kim, you want to add something to that?
I agree. I agree with that. I really think, and I'm with you on the wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I've seen that before, where everybody just plugs into and says it's okay that you're doing it. And but the thing about it is, I think the bottom line is, you have to understand, if you are called or you are calling yourself. So you just say, I'm going to be a minister, or is really the Holy Spirit speaking to you saying, this is what you need to do. But you really need to have an accountability person, or a number of people who you are accountable to, who are going to give you that people say, everybody have to have a look here, bruh. Look here, bruh. What you're doing is not good. And if that means that a person has to travel with you when you do these revivals, if that means that a person has to be in the room with you when you are counseling someone, those are the type of things that you need to think about, and think about what as you talked about, the responsibility that you're taking on and being a pastor or a preacher. It's not just being up there and speaking. Right. When my brother was being mentored by Frank Thomas, who used to preach at New Faith Baptist Church, my brother was licensed there. He told him, he said, you need to decide if you want to be a pastor or if you want to be a preacher. There's a difference. There is a difference.
Well, let me add Bishop Damone Seraphin. His internet is better now. He was our co-host tonight and was a part of this conversation to begin with. Bishop, are you there now? Can you hear us?
Hey, I'm here. Hey.
Okay.
There's the bishop.
There he is. We can hear you clearly.
Well.
There's the bishop.
You did not tell me my girl Carla was on the line.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I told you I got some of the best on here tonight.
Let me apologize tonight for such shoddy internet. I'm in New Hampshire. Not only am I in New Hampshire, I'm in New Hampshire, but I'm in the woods. So the internet is spotty. It was spotty for me at the Helen Hayes Awards and this too. So I apologize for that. Please forgive me. I'm excited to be on for this conversation. I've been listening while I was in the holding room and excited to jump in as one who is an artist and who is clergy. And I hope that what I'm going to say does not lean too far into repetition. But chiefly what I wanted to say is that we have to stop looking at these preachers and pastors as if they are the savior. They've been called by the savior, but they are not the savior. We've got to stop looking at preachers and pastors as if we are the picture of perfection. Rather, we are all on the journey towards perfection. And sometimes along the way, we fall. Now, that does not give us permission to jump off, to purposely trip off, but it is to say that there are bumps along the journey. And what we who are part of the beloved community are called to do is to pray for and restore such a one. Right now in the culture, we're used to roasting and revealing. of such a one. And I think there's a time for revelation, but most of the time, the first thing we go to do is to roast and put everybody's business on blast. John has fallen in this area repeatedly, and I agree with you, Kim, that there needs to be in place a sense of accountability. If you know that you have David tendencies, then you need to make sure you have some folk around you who are going to hold you accountable and keep you honest. But notice that I said if you have David tendencies, because David was a man after God's own heart, but David was also a hoe and a murderer. And God did not discard him. God did not discard him. God took him through process. And what I fear is missing for a lot of clergy is that there is no clear process for healing and restoration. And that's the thing that my heart is about. How do we more than put these folk on blast? How do we, as followers of Jesus Christ, who embody the love and mercy and grace of Jesus Christ, how do we extend that mercy and grace and love towards our fallen? I'm not okaying what Bishop Eddie Long has done. Listen, I heard you, 1 bump, maybe 2 bump. Listen, we all fell off of a thing more than 2 or 3 times. And it's only been the grace of God that allows you to fall off a 10th time. But
Bishop,
hold on, let me
okay.
finish the thought. Let me finish the thought. My thing is to create a space for preachers and clergy who are struggling where they can go and reveal that thing, cleanse that thing, heal that thing, and get right. Not a lot of places for clergy to go and say, I'm struggling. And I'm one about making sure that people are equipped and prepared, that if you fall, that there is a space for you to get back up. Yes, when it's repeated, there's a pattern and there's a problem. And then that's definitely when other steps need to be taken. But often in the contemporary context, the first time a person falls in this context, we drag them through the mud. I think we learned that in clergy, and I think our brother, our comedian, just let us know on that as well.
Bishop, I got to chime in here and say this. Now, this man, Carla, I'm coming to you next, Carla. Kim, I think everybody want to chime in. Listen, you are the head of a congregation. You a hoe. Step down. Step down. We have now learned that P Valley is where a lot of these men need to go to. You get what I'm saying?
Listen, I'm not
you
disagreeing.
have had a TV show on the OWN network, okay? Something that many people would love to have, to be under Oprah.
Yeah, but that doesn't have
you
that
have
TV
rented,
show don't got nothing to do with.
Come on now, you done rented or bought this wife this $1 million car, and half of your congregants probably on the bus.
Yes,
right. Then you've been called on video saying that your wife don't know how to cook. Okay, so here, so all I hear is foolishness. You a hoe. Step down.
Okay. And I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I can't. Here's the thing.
Yes, you can.
We can.
Yes,
no,
you
I
can.
cannot, because we cannot start talking about redemption when ain't nobody said they sorry. I watched that video. I watched that video. First of all, that young man front loaded the video, the very well edited video with the music playing under it. He front loaded it with 4 scriptures that had absolutely nothing to do with the weakness of his flesh. Then he talked about the weakness of his flesh and the tenderness of his heart and the zimmernim and the tiny violin. But he ain't never say he was sorry, and he was gonna go take his own sabbatical. So you get so sometimes sometimes there's a reason people dragging you, because the first time it happened there was no dragging, but this time when you bring somebody's child to the party and you have her child in the back seat co-signing with your hoe about how your wife don't cook nothing but the Red Baron pizza, then and then you don't give a sincere apology, you get yourself in front of the thing. I hear what you're saying, Bishop, but we can't get to that place where you're asking for, if there's, like Miss Kim said, no accountability, and there's no self accountability.
Absolutely. So let me just respond. Let me respond to that, because I agree with everything everybody said. If I'm looking at John right now, the first thing I would tell John is, come on down. Come on down. Let's sit and let's go get you some help for real, for real. That's what I would do. I guess my heart is, because we like to get super holy and super saved on the periphery, you know, and the same grace that we expect folk to extend to us. We're not, especially if a person is famous and in a high platform, we want to tear them down. I get it. Here's what I'm saying. What is your dragging and castigating gonna really do for Brother John, for John Gray? It's gonna do nothing. It's counterproductive. He'll lose his job. He'll lose his job. He'll lose his job for sure. And he should. I think he should sit down. But here's the thing that I'm most concerned about is, how do we get him restored? How do we bring in healing for that family? And I just don't think this dragon.
Bishop,
hold on. I just don't think. Hold on. Let me finish. I just don't think the dragging is productive. We as Christians aren't called to drag like that. We're called to restore such a one in love and in meekness. That's the word. Now, I'm not saying he's not to be held responsible. I'm not saying he's not to be held responsible. He is indeed to be held responsible. But I think we also need to realize that we all got junk and dirt and a lot of toothpicks in our eyes, and we got to be careful how we deal with each other in these sensitive situations.
But Bishop, the other problem that we're not discussing is, as much, you know, this brother may need some help. I don't deny that, you know, or he may know very well what he's doing. Who knows? But what about the people who are under his care? What about the people that he is harming? What about the people that are being harmed by being under his care? If the church does not, and this is a problem with the church, if the church does not step in and say, you know what, he's a nice pastor and he preaches a pretty message, but again, substance over style, you know, when does the point come where we look after our congregants as much as we look after these pastors? And that's my problem. So let me respond to that. That's my problem with this.
Let me respond to that, because what I tell churches and pastors all the time is that as you are in the candidating stage of bringing in a pastor, it's not enough just to look and make sure the man can preach. That's not enough. We got to make sure that this man is a solid human being. And in making sure of that, we also have to put in place a situation where if that man should fall into whatever circumstance, that there are those around who can not only minister to him, but also minister to the congregation. Who is covering that congregation? It is not enough for TD Jakes to come and do a big speech and lay a hand on, but who is there walking with that congregation in those sensitive moments? I agree with you, Brother Chuck, that there needs to be in place in these churches a system where the congregation's needs spiritually, emotionally can be met should leadership stumble. I agree with you wholeheartedly. So the church has to hold itself responsible for not creating that's for themselves.
Right.
Sister Kim, that's when your board is important. I want Sister Kim to give us some feedback at this point. Kim, go right ahead. Kim, I'm sorry. Kim, can you hear us? Did we lose you? Did we lose her?
She's frozen.
Let's see.
We lost her.
I agree with you, Chuck. I agree with you, Chuck. This is a horrible situation. It's horrible. It was horrible in the way that he was installed.
But it's a situation. But it's a situation that we see time and time again. You know, none of this is new. And like I said, when I was a pastor, I saw my share of dirty dealings and people who were allowed to advance, who did harm to the church. And what I saw is people were not looking at the congregations. The pastors were being protected. And that's what I see happening with John Gray. Everyone wants to protect him and talk about the help he needs, but they're not talking about the people he's harming.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I agree with you. I agree with you, Chuck. I agree with you, man. It's right. It's right. It has to be in the church's constitution that there is a system set up for congregational care as well as pastoral care.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And that has and the power should not rest all on the pastor. There's got to be oversight.
And we have to empower congregations to feel strong enough to be able to come forward and say, this is not working. And we need to get more people in these congregations willing to step out of faith, you know. So
yes, psychologically and spiritually.
Right, exactly.
Kim, are you back?
Sorry.
That's all right, darling. Go ahead.
Yes, I am. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
If I were talking to John Gray, I would ask him, is this what he really wants to do? If this marriage is really what he wants to be in, if being a minister or a pastor is really what he wants to do, I really think that this type of behavior is a call for help. I truly do. And again, my prayers are with him and his family.
I couldn't agree more.
I agree with you, Kim.
So let me ask you this. We all are subject to be weak. We're all human, our flesh. You know, I know somebody earlier today said, I don't add all that in. But again, if his wife was the first woman that he had ever been with, you know, and then he ended up getting married and the you know, the marriage now is not what it was because they were madly in love when they were in studio with me. It makes me wonder, but somebody said earlier that he may not be what he wants to be or who he needs to be. And I get that as well too. So I don't know. It's just interesting to me that, you know, everybody now, I don't know if I really would support a pastor that continues to keep being a trollop. I just don't know. You know, Carla, what do you think about that?
Well, this is what I think that sometimes we have to go back and talk about the beginning of shame, right? So at some point, it was a badge of honor for him to be celibate. It was at some point, clearly his ego was attached to that because because of his choices now. I have to assume that that was not something that he was doing because it was where he wanted to be. Like Miss Kim says, you look at him now, it's like he didn't make these choices for himself. And he is making these choices for other reasons. And I think that the as Christians, the shame and the baggage we put on celibacy has a lot to do with the making of some of this type of sexual dysfunction in the church. That we put all of this shame on young people on feeling their natural feelings. So they grow up with all of this pent up foolishness, and then they take their half broken self into a marriage and marry another person who may or not be half broken. And here we go, perpetuating the cycle of brokenness. And I think that's a conversation that Christians have to have about being able to teach children, lead them in the way without shaming them for their feelings. Because now I'm looking at a 12-year-old boy acting out. This is not the behavior of an adult. This is not a grown man's behavior. This is somebody who is emotionally arrested, who is acting out.
And well, that's why I think you're saying something important, Carla. It's emotional, it's psychological, and so we can stand in our spirituality. But I appreciate Bishop Noel Jones for this. That spirituality and psychology walk hand in hand. And so there's some preachers, a lot of preachers. The church is absolutely perverse and dysfunctional when it comes to dealing with sex. I'll be the first one to admit that. But I think there's some of us who need some good psychological help. And there's some of us who have some deep emotional traumas, and we're bleeding on the parishioners. I agree with you wholeheartedly. We can pray, but
right. But I think one of the things that comes up that to piggyback off something Carla was saying is, you know, we in the church, we have demonized sex. We have made sex dirty and filthy and nasty, and we don't have practical conversations about it. The reality is maybe John and his wife were not sexually compatible. Maybe they did not explore that. We do not encourage that in the church for people to explore, to determine, because if you look at, if you talk psychologically, if you look at primary reasons for divorce, money and sex are two of the biggest reasons.
And children.
But if you look at the top two, it's money and sex can impact everything else. So, I mean, we do this whole song and dance in the church on how important love is, how important this is, and how important that is. But we do a very poor job of encouraging people to really explore where they are sexually and can their sexual needs be met with the partner that they're with. And that is a problem within the church because we don't want to talk about that. We would just want to say, oh, you love yourself and this is what the Bible says and this is what the Bible says. And, I get that, but there are things that we need to deal with that we are seeing manifested on a daily basis between adultery and child molestation and domestic violence and rape that the church does a poor job overall of addressing and just sweeping it under the rug and saying, pray about it.
Yeah.
My brother is a pastor down here in Oklahoma City, and they have a wonderful couples marriage seminar. It's usually at the end of July. And it's talking about, all the things that you talk about at a marriage retreat, financial and all this stuff. On Saturday night, they have, or maybe that Friday night, they have a couple that specializes in sex, and it's a married couple and specializes in talking about sex. And they have an intimate night of discussion in talking about ways to please your partner. And they were really kind of hesitant about doing it, but they got a really good reception about it because usually those are not the type of things that people talk about at religious marriage retreats. But sex is and it didn't make it ugly. It's a part of marriage. And the couples really loved it. And when they didn't have it this year because of course COVID, but couples were like, when they were registered, are you all going to do that again? They had, different toys, different oils, different things talking about intimacy. And it was really, I wasn't there because I'm single. I'm not allowed to be there. But from what I understand, it was really great.
You sure do know a lot of information about it.
I mean, Miss Kim had her ear to the ground.
Baby, I'm like Miss Kim know a whole lot about what happened, right?
But I think these conversations happen.
I'm only 98 years old. God still may send my boy.
Right.
Listen, I think these conversations need to happen before we get married. I think our singles, we need to have healthy conversations around sex and sexuality before you get entwined. These are important issues to discuss. When you coming from me from premarital counseling before I send you off, those are the cheap things on the table. How you're handling your money, and what's going on with your sex and sexuality.
And I think another part of it is to not feel ashamed of
or dirty
your sexuality, to not feel dirty, to be able to have the conversation with whoever it is you're going to be in a relationship with and say, these are my interests. This is what I like, and not be shamed, not be penalized for having interests that maybe that other person isn't into it. And either you find a way to deal with it or you go somewhere else.
And can I say also, I think that it's not even, I think we're having a conversation. We should have it as married couples, in couples and relationships. I think the church needs to do a better job having conversations about sex with human beings from birth on. I just think it's just something that is not discussed, and people do not start with a healthy sense of, this is my body. This is what God put my body here to do.
Right.
And I can, and we can talk about this at 12 years old when my body starts to change and there are hormonal issues. And this is the time to start engaging our young people in those conversations so that when you get to couples counseling, you're talking to two people who have a healthy sense of self and a healthy moral compass. Because you can have both. You can be sexually
And
free
be moral.
and be moral. You can have a healthy sense of sex and understanding of your body and still walk in a moral way.
That's
So,
right.
and I don't think we tell kids that from like the cradle. And I think that's part of the problem.
Yep. I agree.
That's the same way. That's the same way a hoe can be a housewife, because I know a million of them.
I would like to say that I myself may or may not be able to co-sign that.
Come on, Carla. What you doing? Tell all the truth.
Well, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, you did an outstanding job on this segment tonight. You each have won a place back for another discussion. Ms. Kim, I'm going to let you close out with your thoughts and comments about tonight, and we definitely will have to have you back for another conversation. Go right ahead.
Well, I would love to. I'm a big fan of yours, Arda. I'm as a Chicago native. When you talk about places to eat, I'm jealous. But it has been an honor to be here on the show. I just want us to really be in prayer, not only for John Gray, but all ministers who are in the pulpit, who are struggling with different issues, and that they be made whole, that they have a prayer partner, that they be able to restore it, as the bishop said, and someone can be a mentor to them. And if we could just continue to keep John Gray and others in prayers, then our churches will be better. Our communities will be better, because the church is a big part of the community, and it'll make our communities and families stronger.
All right. I love you so very much, Miss Carla. I'm going to let you give your closing thought to everybody. Go right ahead. What do you want to say?
When one wants to apologize, one shouldn't have a music video playing in the background.
That's what it's about. That's what it's about, baby.
Hey, if you want me to believe you're sorry, you might want to come with something other than 5 scriptures off top. Just say it. Just say it. And somebody just posted something. I didn't read the whole comment, but WAP. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. I love WAP. Is that all you gonna say? WAP.
Oh my Lord.
Reverend Chuck, I need you to lay it on out too. What's your closing thoughts for everybody?
Well, I mean, my closing thoughts is, we can't, if we want accountability in the White House and in DC in November, we have to be willing to ask for accountability in our churches. And I think the key is parishioners need to feel empowered to say this is not working or that's not working, because those are the people that are at risk, and those are people that need help. And, there's nothing wrong with having a healthy sex drive as long as it's within the bounds of what you agreed with your spouse.
Very good. We got very interesting conversation. Matter of fact, that's our co-host for tomorrow night. I love her, Miss Pickett. She'll be here with us tomorrow night. And we had somebody else that said, "Great, wrong president." First time tuning in. Thoroughly enjoyed the show. I appreciate you so much, Miss Price. Bishop, you gonna stick around for the next conversation as well too, so I won't get your closing thoughts on this, but I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been a part of this conversation tonight. You guys were great. I put a call out on social media for people to talk about it, and I didn't necessarily want this just to be negative gossip about the situation. I wanted people to bring a variety of flavor. Each person who's on here tonight, I already knew what direction you'd go in with this, and I'm glad you guys stood up to talk about this, because everybody falls from grace. We're all human, as we all see on my favorite show now, P-Valley. Everybody has the outlet.
I guess I got to watch that, huh?
Yeah,
it is great. It is great.
It really is. It really is. Look, Pastor, you may have to get you a little cognac or something and sip on it, but
it's all right.
Art, I owe
Yeah,
you some sangria too.
You do, and if you human, it'll make sense. That's all I'm gonna say. If you human,
Okay.
It will
everything in
all
it
make
makes
sense.
sense.
It all
It all
makes
makes sense, and it's all a life most people have heard and know about. It that's a whole nother show. Don't get me started. All right, but I want to say God bless you guys. Great
Thank
job
you.
tonight.
Thank you,
Love you,
Outstanding.
Carla.
I
I
look
love you,
forward to
Bishop.
segment. I got how you two know each other. That's too
This
funny.
is in the
Theater.
Theater, a theater.
Theater.
Yes, a
Listen, we in
theater.
that Chicago theater loop for real, for real.
Oh yeah, we've been out here on these boards together, acting and
Listen,
being
these
in the word.
Oh. And he and I met many years ago when I was a flight attendant on an airplane.
Well,
Listen, Art got me the mini audition in LA. He sure did.
this was lovely. Thanks for having me, Mr. Chat Daddy, sir.
I love you guys. Have a beautiful night. Kim, be
Thank you, my
safe.
friend.
Thank you, my
Appreciate
love.
it.
Talk to you soon. Absolutely.
Good to meet you,
Pastor,
Kim.
thank you
Good to meet
so
you, Pastor
much.
Chuck.
Carla, thank you so much. I love you, my dear. Amen. Well, we back. That was good. That was excellent.
I'm
Everybody
so mad
enjoyed
at
it.
the internet.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. It came up. You look, you redeemed, you got back in, and you in the game again. So I want to remind everybody to tune in to the Thursday night edition of the Real Chat Daddy Show. Tomorrow night, our great, wonderful friend, Miss Monica Pickett, will be back with us. As you guys all know, she's a best-selling author. She's also an LGBTQ plus advocate. And so tomorrow night, our conversation is surrounding the marriage of actress and comedian Niecy Nash. At the age of 50, Niecy got married again for the third time. This time she got married to a woman, Jessica Betts, who is a singer, who is younger than Niecy Nash. And so tomorrow night, we're going to talk about women's attraction to women, what draws them to another woman. And we also have a young lady who will be on with us tomorrow night who was actually in a female-female relationship, and now she's back with a man again. And so this should be a really interesting show tomorrow night, because there are just some questions, Bishop, that, you know, quite a few people I know over the course of years decided to change direction, and it took me for a loop. A couple of people, I thought they were going to have to call the paramedics for me once I figured out what the dynamics was. And people are very shocked when I'm the person that goes, oh, did I? And right, people think I figure stuff like that out all the time, and I don't. And so tomorrow night should be a very interesting show, because both women are women that I can have a really great conversation with about this situation. So I'm looking forward to that show tomorrow night. I really am.
People got the right to change it up, Art. People got the right to change it up.
Yeah, I guess, you know, it's just, I just look at it from where I come from, the condemnation, you know, the this is not right, or how dare somebody be gay, and this, that, and another thing. And then now all of a sudden they decide they want to switch ships and directions and you know, all of that stuff. So it's just interesting to me in many different ways. So I don't know, we'll see. But make sure you guys tune in tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube, subscribe to the Real Chat Daddy Show. Easy and simple. Just hit the subscribe button. Same way over at Facebook, hit the subscribe button on the Real Chat Daddy Show page. All right, Bishop, what else you got coming up as we're waiting on our next guest to enter into the waiting room?
Well, you know, the Helen Hayes happened tonight. That was so great. I missed it. So, you know, internet was crazy. I'm here in New Hampshire directing this play, and it's going very well, and looking forward to getting it on its feet, and then getting back to New York to jump into rehearsals for the next project. Ministry is going well, you know. I can't complain. Family's good. We're healthy today. I had to have another COVID test.
Yes.
That was uncomfortable to say the least.
So now I have a friend that's doing some stand-in work on a television production, and they're getting tested 3 days a week. How often are you being tested?
Well, because we're in pods here, so we literally go from our house to the theater and back, and then maybe we'll go to the grocery store. But we're really not going outside of the campus. And so before we came to New Hampshire last week, we had to come with the negative test.
Mm-hmm.
This week, we got a test. And I think one more test we'll get, certainly for me, before I go back into New York. I have to get yet another one to make sure that that test is negative as I'm coming in. So the theater's being very good about taking care and making sure we are social distancing. I posted a picture on social media of our production meeting that we were all spread out.
I saw that. I saw that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
talking about the show and planning the show. So it's an outdoor performance, and so it's a bit easier. But it's hard for us on Broadway. We have not figured out in New York, and that's the chief economy in New York, and we've not figured out how to bounce back from this yet. Not figured it out. These are some old theaters that we're working in with old ventilation systems that are not so easy to manipulate and change out.
Right.
And then doing big musicals, it's hard to control all of the condensation and the stuff that is kind of put into the air. And so it's that we're trying to figure it out. So it's rough. The theater is experiencing a rough go.
Oh, I can imagine. But I hope to see Broadway come back at some point. I noticed our good friends at the Goodman Theater here in Chicago, they're coming back with some community plays that will be performing. Our good friend Ife Butler is getting ready for a production soon. So, you know, I miss theater. That's my outlet. You know, I love reviewing great theater. And so, you know, hopefully at some point theater will come back.
It's my other job. I needed to.
Yeah.
I needed to.
Yep. Okay.
Well,
Well, that's what everybody is saying. People are saying they love tonight's show. I mean, this is what I designed this show for, is to have this type of conversation with people of all walks of life. And what I'm finding is when I post it on social media, people want in on the conversation. And that's what I think is so great. Well, I want to continue on with our show tonight. Our next subject matter that we want to talk about is 39-year-old R&B singer and television personality. He was on the show Sister Sister for many years. He was in the group Immature. Then it turned around to be the group B2K. Very nice looking young man, has always been a striking young man since he was young. Mr. Marcus Houston recently married his 19-year-old girlfriend. Her dad is actually one of his former bandmates, and he waited until she was 18 years old. 18 is legal. They did get married when she turned 19, and he is 39 years old. Now, I do have to add in there, full disclaimer, he is a Jehovah's Witness. She is a Jehovah's Witness. And I did have a conversation with somebody today who is a Jehovah's Witness and did give me a little background on how all that works. And so let me bring our guest in. Let me see if he's available. Fred Mack, are you there? He's not there yet. Okay. All right. So Bishop, let's continue to talk about this situation. And what do you think about it? What do you think?
Ooh, I am not well versed in the practices of Jehovah's Witnesses, so I can't stand solidly in that space. I do not know what a 39-year-old seeks to do with the 19-year-old other than engage a 19-year-old body. I do not know emotionally or psychologically what a 39-year-old has in common with a 19-year-old who is just on the precipice of their life. I don't understand a father who says, sure, you can take my 19-year-old daughter and sweep her up, marry her up, and go have your way with her. I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
Okay.
It wouldn't happen in my house.
Okay. All right. So our guest is here, Mr. Fred Mack, a good friend of mine's, great event planner, the host of some of the most fabulous soirees ever, just all around great guy, world traveled. And when I put the call out, for fathers to talk about, again, would you allow your 19-year-old daughter to marry a 39-year-old man? He said, look, brother, put me in. I want to talk about it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, my good friend, Mr. Fred Mack. What up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, Fred.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly, brother. Good to have you here tonight. How you doing? Can you hear us?
I'm doing well. We actually are having an event about to happen very shortly. I actually thought this was for Thursday, but then I saw the email. I said, look, I committed. So Tamara.
Oh, you in the middle of an event now?
Yes.
Oh my God, we won't hold you long. We will not hold you long, brother. We got quite a few brothers that are here. I'm in. Fred, so what do you think of this particular situation? Again, he's 39 years old, she's 19 years old, but I have to put this disclaimer in that they are of the Jehovah Witness faith. I did speak to someone today who has been a member of the ministry for a number of years, and the answer that I was told that if 18, you are considered grown, and because you are raised in the Jehovah Witness faith, you are raised with the right morals and values, and that they connected because of morals and values. But I think a lot of us as Black men, or men period, see it as you 39 and she 19. Fred, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, each section of that, you got the young lady, you have Mr. Marcus Houston, and you have the father. To me, first I'll speak on Mr. Houston as a 39-year-old man. To me, it says something when somebody of that age is dealing with someone so young, so unexperienced, hasn't seen life before. It's almost in a sense of exploitation. Now, I did see her pictures, beautiful young lady, but that's no different. I remember my daughter was attending Xavier and down in Louisiana, and she would call me down there. It'd be whatever, fix something, put something together, and I'd spend the weekend. All type of beautiful young girls, some flirting, some whatever. Never in my mind could I conceptualize bringing myself around with someone like the same age of my daughter, whatever thing. It's like the whole thing of being a mature person of sound mind is not to just act on your thoughts or whatever. I'm sure we all probably have looked at a younger lady and said, "Oh man, she's beautiful," whatever, but never to a point that I'm like, I'm gonna raise or build a life or build a future with it, because there's no 18-year-old, 19-year-old on my level. I don't know what level he's on. He's wealthy and stuff, but mentally and stuff, there's no teenager that would be on my level. Then I would have to say something about the father. Same thing. If my daughter had came to me in that situation, with a 39-year-old man, I would be strongly. Of course, she would be an adult, but not only do I think the morals and things that I've said in front of her, she wouldn't even consider that. But I really don't see how I could bless that unless I was a situation, or he just see a situation where it's a come up. He might just say, "Hey, this is a ticket for my daughter and her children and things like that." What you gonna say?
It's interesting.
People have their own interests and own things, and when you say that on the religious aspect, even now, I'm a PK. Grew up in the church. I have views. Matter of fact, my degree was my first degree was in theology, and so even church has played a part. Early church way, as far as people or younger women somewhat being exploited at a younger age by
Mhm.
some of the actual leaders of the church, things like that. So, in so many ways, I was quite disturbed. Um, but this is let's say the new world order, the new things, how things are happening here. So all I can basically be is uh, a a person that's kind of watching it like a TV show. But I know for any young lady, and I do because I have all sisters and I have my daughter. I have mentored plenty of young ladies,
Mhm.
uh, and I, without question, I would strongly disadvise them, just like I would also do that with a man that was looking to be with a girl of that age.
Okay, very good. All right, we're gonna bring in another gentleman. His daughter just turned 18. He just took her off to college. Beautiful young lady. And when I put this post up, he said the exact, same thing. Get me in on this conversation. Art, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, my good friend, the one and only Mr. Khalid Scott. Hey, brother, how are you? Hey, Khalid. How you doing this evening? Are you
Hey,
there?
Art, how you doing, Bishop? How's everybody doing?
We doing great, Khalid.
Good, good, good.
Glad to have you here tonight. You are one of the dads that wanted to chime in on this conversation and talk about this. Actor and singer Marcus Houston, 39 years old, recently married his 19-year-old girlfriend. He met her when she was 18 through her dad. They both are members of the Jehovah's Witness ministry. I've already spoken to someone and did my research about the rules of the Jehovah's Witness ministry. And if you are of legal age and have been raised in Jehovah's teaching, you have the right morals and values to live a life of just. And so age does not matter. She could have married a 60-year-old man. And when I thought about it, I said, Lord, I do know somebody that was Jehovah's Witness. She was young and she married a 60-year-old man. So Khalid, you just sent your beautiful daughter off to college. What happens if she calls you and tell you, Daddy, I done met a man and this man happens to be 39, 40 years old? What's your take on this?
Well, a couple of things that come to mind are because when this story first broke, I did a post on it and had like over 200 comments. And people were pretty 50-50, like, well, she's over 18, so why not? And then other folks were like me, was like, you know what? There's something off with that. So if Anaya was to call me, he's 39 years old, I'm thinking of dating him, I'm going to say two things. One, Anaya, I didn't know you were suffering from daddy issues. And number two, what's the win-win on your side? Because for me, as a 51-year-old, if I'm dating someone who's 21 years old, 30 years younger than me, then for me, it's about power and control. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
You
I'm
think so?
saying to
I don't think
myself,
so.
you
I
said what,
don't.
Art?
I look,
What?
I don't think so. I don't think a 51-year-old and a 21-year-old, if power and control, that's because you want the power and control in the situation.
Correct. Correct.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Correct. For me,
Okay.
it's about,
Yeah.
I don't want to date women my age because, they're stern and they're firm and they're unbendable and unbreakable.
And
I want to
loose
date
and
somebody
floppy.
younger who I can manipulate.
Mm-hmm.
And no one can tell me differently. And then, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, who deals with victims. And oftentimes we see big age gaps between, either men or women who date younger, you know. And again, I just think the biggest part is you're moldable when you're younger. And I want to mold you the way I want you to be, you know, because what could a 21-year-old teach me, a 51-year-old? Really, truly, when you break it down, of anything worth substance, I think it's clearly power and control. Power and control. And then if you think of his dating habits, look at the women who he's dated. You know what I'm saying? And all the turmoil he's been with his children's mother. So I'm thinking his thing is, I have a 19-year-old spouse now. She doesn't have any kids, and she comes from a broken home. Because I don't know if you all did the backstory, but she was a runaway at age 15, 16.
15.
And he's been knowing her since then.
Interesting.
So
yeah.
Add up all those equations, 2 + 2
let's tell the truth.
Always equal 4.
Yeah, let's tell the truth. Here's the thing. I just had a woman tell me she's a 39-year-old. No, she's 40. And she says, listen, when many men hit 40, the southern region tends to decrease. She wants a younger man because the younger man comes like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going and going. The older man looks at that younger girl, body by Fisher, mind by Mattel. So it's brand new. It ain't been used up. It's not floppy. It's not jiggly. She don't have an opinion, a solid opinion about the world because she ain't been in the world long. So I agree with you. He's able to shape her worldview. He's able to shape her worldview and then benefit by the youth and plushness and plumpness of her body. Let's just tell the truth. The boobs are perky, the butt is tight, and presumably other things are tight. Hello, lights.
My Lord.
Let's just tell the truth.
My Lord.
That's what that is.
I mean, to be honest.
Come on, David was sitting on his roof.
If you hear about a 51-year-old, I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying this. David was sitting on his roof and he saw Bathsheba sunbathing. Bathsheba was tight and it was right. And so he had to have it. And he got her husband, Uriah, killed just so he can hit it.
Right.
So I mean, this is nothing new. This is nothing new. And in terms of Jehovah's Witness teaching, listen, I'm a Christian. And what do we know about Christians? We slip and slide. So do Jehovah's Witnesses. So I'm not quite convinced that just because she was raised under Jehovah's teachings means she's well equipped to cater to the needs of that 39-year-old man. And since we were talking about John Gray, I'm just going to say, I think there's some parallels.
With the John
because what
Gray?
happens when you don't live a full life, and now you find yourself caught up, tied up, tangled up in this marriage, you want to go run when you start to see the light shining on the other side.
Yeah.
Aventure had 2 kids. That body wasn't always jiggly. Look at the women he's going after. So it's not deep. That's 19-year-old body. We know what that's about.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay. Khalid, what again?
And then
go ahead. Your Wi-Fi is breaking up, but go ahead. Can you hear us?
Oh, sorry.
Okay,
yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, go ahead with your point. We can hear you now.
And I wanted to bring up a lot of people who, when they post about Mr. Houston, a lot of people like, well, grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our mothers married men who were significantly older than them. You know, so it's not like this is something new. This is just But again, if you look at the relationships of our great grandmothers, of our grandmothers, and of our mothers, it was a very, it was the evidence was power and control. So when Granddaddy was 35 years old and he married 15-year-old grandmother, come on. What was grandmother able to contribute other than being childbearing and keeping the house together? You know? So for me, it's and we call for what it is. And what is between her, I don't know.
Well,
what the other girlfriends have done, and she'll leave him because there's something going on with him. And if you go and get, he's been accused of molestation and everything. So these two broken people are now together. Not two whole people.
Yes.
Two broken people are together.
Two broken people. Khalid, you said something really interesting too, and I agree with you. When we look at the dating patterns or how our great-grandparents and grandparents got together, women in that age and that time were told, get yourself a man who could what? Take care of you, who could provide for you.
Correct.
Right? And so that's the mindset we came into that marriage and relationship with. He's going to take care of me. He's going to provide for me. And the expectation of that man was, if I'm taking care of you and providing for you, I want to engage in a process that's going to give me more than one kid.
Correct.
And so, but then also too, and to even connect what you just said, she's coming from a space of instability. And this man's celebrity seemingly provides stability. But his celebrity doesn't cover his own brokenness. So whatever material pleasures he may provide, there is no emotional, psychological, or spiritual wellness that he has to cover her with.
Correct.
So I agree with you. She'll end up leaving too. Because she's going to realize that Gucci and gold ain't all it's cracked up to be when the man can't and won't talk to her outside of betting her. These are general presumptions, but they're generally right.
Okay, Khalid, what do you want to say?
I hope, because they're married now, and I'm going to always wish the best on black love. And I'm hoping through their union that they both grow with each other and they both learn from each other and that they both learn the life lessons that they needed to learn thus far to be a happily wedded couple, because they're married now. And I hope the best. I do not want to put any negativity on top of their heads. But again, I think when you really break this down, there's a dysfunction in the air. And again, if my 18-year-old daughter, who was blessed to have the presence of a dad, the only reason why I would think my daughter would be attracted to an older man is because of my role modeling. And she wants stability and security. That's just what, because I think, and that's what all women want. And most women may think, I'm not going to get that out of a 25-year-old. I'm going to get it from a 39-year-old. But again, you got to look at that 39-year-old. His last, the mother of his two children left him for his best friend. He's been accused of molestation. So again, it's wonderful to want stability and security, but you got to be with a stable and a secure man.
Yes.
That's it.
Mm.
That's all.
All right.
Yep.
Well, with that being said, gentlemen, I enjoyed this
Preach, Lynn.
conversation. Yeah, I think you both, hit it on the head because it's an interesting dynamic. A lot of people, again, want to take the route of, their religion says it's okay and our religion backs it. But, when you really look at the backstory, his backstory, her backstory, is an interesting dynamic. And again, 19 years old and he 39 years old. That's a 20-year age difference right there, So, and she's a beautiful young lady. She's a very beautiful. In closing thoughts, Khalid, what would you want to say to everybody before you leave us tonight about just this and the world in which we're in right now? Uh-oh, did we lose him? Okay, is he there? Uh-oh, did we lose you?
He's on mute.
Oh, wait, I didn't put him on mute. Let me see. He's on mute. Did we lose you, sir? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Maybe hey, brother, you there? You there? Hey. All right. Is he still there? Okay. Well, Bishop, in closing, what do you want to say tonight?
I think the topic of the day, is he speaking? Go ahead, brother Khalid.
Go ahead. You there, Khalid? Hello? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah. What's your closing thoughts, Khalid?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Okie dokie. Nope. We can hear you. Can you hear us? All right. Bishop, go right ahead and give your closing thoughts.
Yeah, I think the word for the day is spiritual and emotional health. And that until we attain some semblance of spiritual and emotional health, we do not need to connect with folk in a way that we're not able to propel them into their greater selves. That if we're broken, we need to get and seek out healing before we engage in a space that will break another. I'm sad for Aventer because she married a man who cannot really minister to him. He can't really minister. He can perform. And we were talking about that video he made. It was well produced, but the heart isn't in a space. Emotionally, he's not in a space to minister to cover, or even engage her in a full way, in a healthy way, because he himself is not. So we have to get healthy. This is a conversation we said we want to talk about.
Right. We'll have to have that down the road. Yeah, we got to get healthy because we got some sick folk getting with sick folk that only produces more sickness. So that's my hope and my prayer, is that we can go and get whole, we can go and get healed, and that we create a space. Watch this, Chad Daddy, because here's the other thing that I think. We have to create a space for people to walk in truth. We have to create a space for people to say, I'm broken and I need help. We've got to create a space where people don't feel like they have to hide and lie. That's the other part about the church. We don't create spaces of truth, though we claim we preach truth. Very good.
So a John Gray or Eddie Long can do what they do because there's not a space for them to really go and say, hey, I'm struggling. Or people around them to say, hey, your slip is showing, your boxes are showing. Pull it together for real. So that's my hope for us, is that we can have people in our corner who will speak truth to us. And that we will get in a space where we can get healthy and whole, so that we're not producing sickness, stagnation, and pain.
And as Mercedes said to her mama in P Valley, Mama, you got your pulpit and I got mine.
I gotta watch this P Valley. I gotta watch it.
As Mercedes said to her mother, "Mother, you have your
Preach
whole
now.
bit, and I have mine." Amen. And I'm gonna leave
Yeah.
us on that
Amen.
note tonight. Bishop, as
Amen.
always, great job. Thank you so much, brother.
Oh.
I appreciate you.
Thank you
Have
for
a
letting me
beautiful.
know.
Oh, absolutely. Always a good time. Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of yet another wonderful show. Do me a favor, go over to YouTube, subscribe to The Real Chat Daddy Show there on YouTube. Also on Facebook, it's The Real Chat Daddy Show. Go right there. Love that page. I appreciate you guys so much. Take a visit over to my website, therealchatdaddy.com. Everything you need to know is right there. Bishop, God bless you, my friend. I love you so very much, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Thank you, my friend. Have a great night. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our show. I love you guys so very much, and I'll see you tomorrow night.